Have you ever baked bread? It's kind of magical, right? You take this tiny, almost invisible packet of yeast, mix it in, and suddenly, this lifeless dough comes alive and doubles in size. Well, what if I told you that exact same process explains how tiny ideas grow up to conquer the world?
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? For anyone trying to build something new, an innovator, an artist, a leader, how does some small thought, some little prototype, or some niche movement become a global phenomenon? We see it happen all the time, but the how often feels like a total mystery.
And the answer is surprisingly simple. It's hidden right there in that packet of yeast. You see, real growth isn't a straight line. It's organic, it's exponential, and it follows a very predictable pattern. So let's dive in and see how it works. All right, here's our roadmap. We're going to break this down into 5 key stages. First, we'll unpack the metaphor itself. Then we'll look at how you seed an idea, how it incubates in secret, that amazing moment it explodes, and finally, what it takes to build a lasting ecosystem around it. So first up, the big picture. Calling this a metaphor is almost selling it short. It's more of a master frame. It's this powerful model that helps us understand how incredible complexity, we're talking everything from markets to entire civilizations, can pop up from the humblest of beginnings. It's a story of creation that starts with a single cell, not a giant blueprint. So, where does it all begin? Well, every world-changing idea starts out as just a tiny seed. But here's the thing, a seed just lying on the concrete is completely useless. It needs the right conditions to even have a shot. This first step has a name, inoculation. It's that critical moment you introduce your seed idea into a supportive system. Think of it, literally, as adding the yeast to the warm, sugary water. You're not just shouting your idea into the void, you are intentionally placing it into a knowledge ecosystem where it actually has a chance to survive and thrive. This quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of it. You have to embrace the small start. No great company, no revolutionary movement, no game-changing idea ever started out big and fully formed. They all began embarrassingly small, probably as a little hunch that seemed too tiny to even matter. And that supportive environment really boils down to 2 things. First, an idea needs a host. That's the system it's going to live inside, like a specific company culture or an academic field. And second, it needs warmth. Those are the resources that get it going, like money, encouragement from your peers, or just the right mental space. But even with the perfect host and all the warmth in the world, you still need a spark. This is the trigger. It's that one activation event, that aha moment, that flash of insight that finally kicks the whole process into gear and sets growth in motion. Okay, so the seed is planted, it's got a host, it's got warmth, it's been triggered. Now we enter what might be the most important and most invisible stage of all, incubation. This is where the real work happens, long before anyone else sees a thing. And the core process here is fermentation. Just like yeast transforms sugar into energy under the pressure of a closed environment, an idea ferments under constraints. It's getting refined, challenged, and transformed by its conditions. Deep down in the silence, far from any spotlight. This is the quiet before the storm. Now, as the idea ferments, it actually starts to grow through a process called budding. A new concept begins to emerge as this little extension, a local protrusion from the main idea. You know, think of a cool new feature on an app, a spin-off company, or a niche theory that branches off from a bigger one. So, you see the engine here, right? It's a cycle. The core idea ferments, building up potential. Then a new concept buds off from that original, and eventually that little offshoot gets strong enough to break away and live on its own. That is the cycle of innovation. What this really is a kind of asexual reproduction for ideas. The system becomes self-generating. It can replicate and create new versions of itself using its own internal logic without constantly needing new outside input to multiply. It starts to sustain itself. All right, so our idea has been quietly fermenting and budding under the surface. Now for the really fun part. This is the moment everything changes, the moment it hits critical mass and just explodes into the mainstream. This freeze just nails it perfectly. Slow, 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 boom. You have this long, long period where it looks like nothing is happening. And then, almost overnight, you hit that inflection point and the growth goes completely vertical.
And you can see it right here. Look at this chart. For 10 whole days, the growth is, well, it's barely anything, but then just 2 days later, boom, it's exploded tenfold. That's the viral adoption curve. That's the startup S-curve. It's that moment the hidden potential is finally unleashed on the world.
And the impact of this explosion is called leavening. It's just like how a tiny amount of yeast lifts an entire loaf of bread. One powerful idea can elevate an entire industry, an entire field of thought, or an entire culture. It has this huge, disproportionate effect, lifting everything up with it.
So how does this crazy spread actually happen? Well, it turns out it follows pretty predictable patterns. Scientists have different names for it: social diffusion, viral spread, memetics, but they're all describing the same thing: ideas jumping through networks from person to person, almost like a biological agent.
So the idea has exploded. It went viral. But the journey is not over, not by a long shot. The final stage is all about building something that actually lasts, transforming that one explosive moment into a new, stable reality. After that initial boom, a key colony starts to form. This is the community, the tribe that gathers around the successful idea. It could be a startup team, a school of academic thought, or a passionate fandom. This colony becomes the living, breathing organism that carries the idea forward. And this colony, it keeps reproducing. The original idea, the parent cell, keeps giving rise to new offshoots. We're talking new products, new theories, new frameworks that are related to the original but have their own unique identity. This is how the idea's legacy continues to grow and evolve.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? The yeast metaphor isn't just a cute analogy. It's a practical philosophy for how things emerge. Start tiny, multiply quietly, find the right environment, focus on catalyzing a real transformation, not just making noise, and scale by budding, creating organic offshoots, not by trying to blast your idea everywhere at once. And that leaves us with one last, really powerful thought. Everything big, everything complex, everything that has shaped our world, from entire civilizations to the companies we work for, to the very ideas inside our own heads, they all follow this pattern. They all start as yeast. So the only question is, what tiny idea will you start growing today?